Hello and Namaste, listeners of AIR Hyderabad. As we celebrate National Space Day on this 23rd of August, we are thrilled to have a special guest with us today, Sri Vishal Latha Balakumar. The Director of Space Missions in Dhruva has been at the forefront of innovation in the space technology sector, contributing significantly to India's space missions and achievements. Today, we will be diving into the journey of Dhruva Space, discussing their successes, their challenges they face, and the exciting future that lies ahead. Welcome to the AIR Hyderabad, Mr. Vishalji.
Thank you, Ms. Seema. Thank you for having me on AIR Hyderabad. It is indeed a great honor to be here and be representing my organization on the occasion of National Space Day.
Yeah, that is very much, welcoming for us also. We'll start with this, as any scientific minds and, our youngsters who are having very much interest in the science field, they are very much inspired by Dhruva, as I must say. So we would like to know, Dhruva Space has become a significant player in the space technology industry. And what do you consider the key factors behind your company's success?
So we have been around for almost 12 years, and I've been associated with the company for more than half a decade, for about 6 years now. What I've seen so far with my peers, with my colleagues and everybody, we started as a very small organization. We are about 130 strong. I think if you want to call it, the fundamental idea behind our success or where we are right now and where we are going to be has always been a lot of drive and passion towards the kind of work that we are doing.
Yeah.
Say almost a decade or 2 decades ago, we did not have private industries working independently on spacecrafts and so on. So we always saw a lot of development happening outside. So our founder explored a bunch of things across the world, built satellites across the world, and Sanjay came back. And this is something that we need to do in a country of 1 billion people where we have a lot of talent. So harnessing that and keeping the passion alive and getting it done come what may has always been, I think, at the forefront of what we do. Even at every waking day, it's been that, because we're doing something new, something beautiful, and something that's the need of the hour.
Yeah, that is very much important, that whatever is the need of the hour, that should be projected in the society and in the country itself. Okay, your company is especially known for its expertise in spacecraft solar arrays and space power solutions. Could you please elaborate on some of the key projects or milestones that have defined Dhruva Space journey so far?
We've been around for almost 12 years now, and especially just in the last 2 years, we have launched 4 missions where we have put 8 space objects over multiple launches, wherein we have demonstrated the capability of building and realizing and launching and operating satellites across the board. We got our first approval from the government of India to put a private space object in space. But this expanded towards us building key technologies in the country. So apart from the space agency itself, we are the first or the only organization in the country to have the capability and have demonstrated in terms of building space-grade solar arrays. But in extension to that, we've been building larger satellites and bigger technologies. And this is not where it's going to stop. We are building key technologies in the space sector towards doing a lot of collaboration between the private ecosystem and the existing government and the rest of the ecosystem to have a very comprehensive space industry built up in the country.
Wow. That is really, praiseworthy. And Vishalji, I would like to know especially that how does Dhruva Space contribute to India's larger space ambitions? And what role do you see your company playing in the future of India's space exploration?
As a private company, there's a lot of drive, there's a lot of risk appetite in terms of what we can do. And relying on the existing ecosystem, we have one of the most foremost labs and research organizations in the country in space, ISRO, who have been doing splendid work for the last 5-6 decades in the country in terms of developing what's on ground, bettering lives on Earth. Putting these two things, the deep experience and expertise that ISRO and the government of India brings, putting it along with the expertise and the talent and the capabilities of the private industry, we really see not just serving the needs of the nation, but bringing or having this capability of this critical technology from India, serving the needs of the rest of the world is where we are looking at. And in this part, we would like to play a key role where we keep growing in terms of not just stopping at lunar or Mars exploration, but moving towards human spaceflight missions and so on, which is already in plan with the government of India. We really hope that we play a key role in terms of these developments over the coming decades.
Yeah, means that days are not so far where we can pronounce यात्रीगण कृपया ध्यान दें इस स्पेस पर आपका स्वागत है. Means like we will be welcoming people, our traveler and passenger in this space also. See, looking forward, it's not about only your successes. It's about your challenges also. So we will be, happy to know about what all challenges as a private sector company you face in this sector.
So this particular sector is niche and new beyond the organizations and agencies. So we are looking at a lot of key technologies being fundamentally built. These are challenges as well as interesting opportunities beyond the space sector.
Yeah.
Wherein we are looking at development in the semiconductor industry side of things. We are looking at the extension of how existing technologies in other sectors, so to speak, can be used in the space sector and taken up further. These, we are seeing a lot of support and so on and so forth from the government towards stitching these different domains together. And space is not something that remains, say, closed and in a corner where a few people work. The idea is that the challenge is democratizing it, giving access to space, because at the end of the day, the ideals for ISRO has always been to do better on ground. And that is where we see the thing needs to be broken into moving towards that.
Yeah, that's so lovely to know. Just now we had talked about the challenges you are facing, but in this sector, I think a lot of cooperations are also there that you might got the benefit for your company as a private sector. Would you like to explain some of the things with our listeners?
So largely speaking, we always see space as a separate engineering domain, but in reality, it's a culmination of various engineering domains and sciences coming together.
Yes.
So we do a lot of work with academic institutes in terms of fundamental research, but it doesn't stop there. We work with the existing private companies that have been doing space for the last bunch of decades, and the upcoming space industries where we have complementary technology, where we put together and provide interesting solutions, solve the actual problems on the ground by coming together rather than looking at it as a competition. So we see a lot of work that's being done together, marrying your industry, education, academia side of things as well. But in addition to it, the existing labs of what beyond ISRO, what the government and the rest of the labs that have been doing across the country. It's been a very interesting development in the last couple of decades to see how all of this come together and do things in space.
That's true. We had a talk about how in a country we are collaborating with each other, but space technology, it's very vast. It's often involves collaboration with international partners as well. Then in that case, what challenges do you face and how does Dhruva Space navigate those challenges?
Naturally, the space side of things in extension comes as part of the security of the nation and the sovereignty of how space works and so on. Fortunately, we have extremely very, very good relations with a lot of nations across the world in terms of be it research or exchange of technology. Incidentally, even the very first research that started with respect to ISRO and so on, with respect to building their launch vehicles, there was a lot of collaborative work that happened with Europe and the rest of the companies. That has not stopped. It is just expanding beyond these organizations towards enabling organizations like us in private industries to be seeing how we can work with the private industries in other companies and bring it together. So you're seeing government to government relations and private companies to company relations. Today we don't see it as a challenge, but we're seeing these as precedences that's actually helping us enable and do these things further.
Yeah. Looking forward, what are some of the upcoming projects or innovations that Dhruva Space is particularly excited about in the future?
Very recently, on the ground segment of things, to operate things in space, we got authorization from the government to operate ground stations as a service. Simultaneously, we're building larger space platforms. What we are looking at is tying up all of these technologies, demonstrating these scenarios in terms of building better platforms, building services and technologies that will meet the larger vision of becoming a space power in the country. So these are very specific technologies that we are working internally towards realizing them in the country, in Hyderabad, wherein we started as a very small organization with about 3,000 square feet office in Begumpet, Hyderabad. Now we are expanding into a 250,000 square feet office very close to the airport in Hyderabad itself. What we are seeing is a large amount of capability that's coming through, a large amount of very known technologies. We were talking about cars being mass produced, and today we are talking about how do we mass produce satellites? How do we go towards serialized production of these these very absolutely key technologies that's really going to set us apart on the globe.
See, growing with this, in a vast manner, we are every time talking about the environment sustainability, but space sustainability is something that is a very, very growing concern not in our country, but in the international arena itself. So what steps is Dhruva Space taking to ensure that its technologies contribute to a sustainable and responsible use of space?
Beautiful question. When we look at how the general industry works, right? So there's something called as the Outer Space Treaty, which our country is also a party to, in terms of having a space object in the low Earth orbit for a maximum amount of time beyond which you're supposed to bring it back. As an internal goal, we are incorporating technologies where we have a defined set of lifetime for each satellite in space. Once it reaches its end of mission, bring it down back to the atmosphere where it burns down. So that is not done. But in addition to this, today as a company sitting in Hyderabad, a majority of realization and production happens in and around Hyderabad. There is not a logistics that happen beyond outside. We have tried to see how the supply chain can be shrunk into a small area so that, the non-visible parts of the sustainability is also looked at in terms of optimizing these kind of scenarios. But in terms of space technologies, we have developed space situational awareness tools to ensure optimized use of space resources, careful use of orbit resources.
Yeah.
How do I not interfere with other missions and so on and so forth. This is something that's been the core of the development of a technology. Be it the software or the hardware side, and something that we work with the organizations and the policy level as well. So I think it's a marriage of all of these things, and we've been at the forefront and the center of it to ensure we do have a sustainable use of space so that it's not just us, but it's about the generations that come after as well.
Yeah, of course. Very well answered my questions, Mr. Vishal. We would like to know that how does this collaboration between public and private space technology sectors is going to enhance space exploration and technology, particularly in India?
So what we see here is we have an organization called InSpace, which has been promoting and ensuring industry and the government relations work really well together. The idea is to see how this rapid realization of development of these technologies, wherein we have a shorter turnaround time in terms of going to space. The whole point being I conceptualize something today, I go sooner and I start doing applications out of it and solving problems faster, which is what we're looking at in terms of a good amount of expertise that comes from existing agencies, existing labs, and so on and so forth. Derive from it. It's very similar to what deep research happens in academia, where you stand on the shoulders of giants in terms of existing research and do something more, which is what we are doing here as well. As a upcoming and established private space company, we are looking at standing on the shoulders of what's been established in the country and take everyone together and do something better out there.
Yeah, that's true. Just now we had a talk about space sustainability, and in that case, a lot of, young entrepreneurs and startups, they're looking forward to, set up their careers, set up their startups in this sector. How do you think that these youngsters, when they come to the market, they will create that and, they will create and they can enhance that space sustainability in the market?
This is not a new conversation, right? This has always been in discussion at the policy level, at the government, policy level at the industries. There are guidelines to follow, and which people are actively doing it. There are compliances to follow. What we are seeing is a much larger awareness, especially amongst youngsters, to keep things better and nicer and good. I do not doubt that these new companies that are coming up, the youngsters that are setting up these industries, they are absolutely going to be taking the torch forward and doing greater things.
Of course, torchbearer of the country. Yeah. As we are discussing, and we have invited you on this special occasion of our country that is called National Space Day. Then what is your reaction to the establishment of India's National Space Day, and how significant this day is for the space community and for our society?
We live in absolutely interesting times. It's quite exciting to see a lot of recognition in terms of, or more than recognition, a lot of visibility in terms of what's being done at the agency level, at the ISRO level in terms of this particular event itself. Commemorating these big wins is absolutely important towards inspiring the upcoming generation. So I grew up watching what we could in school in terms of what's happening outside the country. And now seeing a lot more in terms of what has been done so far in the country and what is going to be done. I don't think it just keeps the young minds going, it keeps me going. And having the ability to celebrate and appreciate these things, I think it's great. It's a beautiful thing to do.
Means anyhow National Space Day can enhance public awareness and interest in space exploration in India. That is what you wanted to say.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Then what kind of career opportunities exist in the space industry for our youngsters today, and how can young people prepare for a career in this exciting field?
The field is wide. Space is a place where we do everything.
Yeah.
Meaning your engineering, your sciences, your media communications, you have space policy. And now that with the advent of human space exploration, we are looking at medicine, biology fields as well, taking up a center stage there. I think it's purely a matter of identifying your particular focus of interest, and it need not necessarily be, I'll have to do particularly something that's oriented to space. But get your bearings right in terms of your fundamental sciences and engineering, and there is always something to do in space. Yeah. Because it's vast, it's space. Yeah. And that's where it lies. I think it should not be limited to, it's rocket science, it's satellite, and probably something that's not related to me, but pretty much everything is done in space.
Wherever it comes to our mind that something is limitless, we will talk about directly the space.
The opportunities are endless.
Yeah, endless, limitless. The time is, giving us that tick that we need to just, wind up our conversation. On this National Space Day we are talking about, we would like to know your own view, whatever the message you want to give to our youngsters on this Space Day.
I think space is a beautiful place to be.
Yeah.
And the vastness is something that I have always been inspired of. There's not a day where I step outside a building, I don't look at the sky. There's a lot to take from it. Beyond all of this, I think what's always important, going back to how ISRO started, going to space was always primarily about looking back at Earth and seeing how we can develop things on the ground, at the society, at the nation level. And that is something we can always take upon. There are many different ways to do it, and space is a beautiful way to do it. Ideally, at a personal level, I wish everybody is in the space sector doing great, beautiful things. Keep doing what you're doing and be passionate about it, be driven about it. Just don't let the spark die, because there's lots to do and we need everyone. So.
Yes, that's true. At the end, what are your hopes and expectations for the future of space exploration in India, especially in light of recent achievements and National Space Day celebrations?
We are doing absolutely great. We've been to the moon, we've been to the Mars. There is a lot of work going towards human space exploration. We'd like to invite passengers.
Yes.
I think I'll connect to that and touch upon a very important point there. I think the hopes and dream is always about making access to space easy. Yes. It's making it democratizing
lives
space.
Of ordinary people easier.
Yes. I think technology should always be an enabler, which is what we've been working towards. Space is a place where we are working with the technology on. Bringing it together and doing beautiful, great things as a nation, as a community is something that we all have as a duty to be doing it. So, and I wish everybody joins us in this journey.
Yeah. Though we are heading towards the end of this conversation, but I would especially like to know, Mr. Vishal, how do you connect yourself as a scientist in this space missions?
My interest in stars have been from when I was a kid. I think this is pretty much a very standard story that you would hear from everyone in this industry. And that never stopped. The fascination never stopped, whether it's knowing about what's out there. And as you grow up, you learn it's not just about what's out there, it's about what all you can do there, what all beautiful things you can do there. And I don't think that's going to stop. I don't think this is a question that will never let me stop talking, and I'll just keep going on and on about it. But that is what is very close to me in terms of it feels far, it feels dark, it feels large. But what's out there is so beautiful, and what you can do down by knowing what's down here and what's out there. It's these unknown questions that needs to be answered. It's the thirst of knowledge. It's the necessity of curiosity that keeps us all going, and that keeps me going. Every day is different. Every mission is different. Every challenge is interesting in terms of the science or the technology or the sociological issues that we see that can be addressed from the technology that we're building. It's just simply a beautiful thing to be in this sector, and it just keeps me going. So
Thank you so much, Mr. Vishal, for sharing your insights and the incredible journey of Dhruva Space with us on this special National Space Day celebrations. It's inspiring to hear about the pioneering work your company is doing in the field of space technology. We wish you and your team continued success as you push the boundaries of what's possible in space exploration. To our listeners, thank you for connecting with us, and thank you for tuning in. Stay curious and keep looking up at the stars and for the space. Thank you so much for joining AIR Hyderabad on this National Space Day.